you're not supposed to do marketing. You're not supposed to do campaigns of any kind, or I don't know, order KOL services or anything of the sort. Not necessarily those, because it depends how we understand marketing, but marketing is absolutely anything that you send out to the world, digital or physical, in a communications format, and it represents you. So that's marketing in general, in terms of how branding is being formed and so on. So it's not just a paid ads campaign or a specific banner that you manufacture and then release to your channels. So it's important to understand that up until fundraising, up until the moment when you have a deck that you start sending out to VCs or other potential investors like angel investors, the very same KOLs that can be your investors too, up until that point, there's some homework that you need to do. And this is a general list of things that a project is expected to tackle somehow. So the first, of course, is community building, naturally. I always tell projects when we talk with the teams that if there's no community, there's no project. The community is your essential building block. It's the pillar on which you stand, and it's the only thing, the only base layer that you need in order for the project to grow. Because we in marketing, in Web3 marketing, we call communities self-marketing mechanisms. We aim to make those mechanisms in the future of the project, because a community is naturally a group of people, and among those people, you at a certain point start to ignite like a fan base, and those people become your fans. They become your hidden ambassadors, and they start to carry the message, the flag for you about your project. So you want to start building the community early on, and not do it in the giveaway manner, because this way the very first people that will become your community members will be reward hunters that are not interested in the project that you're creating and you're putting your effort into, but they're just here for the token, for the stable coins that you offered, and so on. So it's important that the building blocks are strong, and the community is supposed to be that building block. So you establish channels, or as I call it, you do hygiene. You need those kind of channels. One, to represent the project. So let's say that's Twitter. Well, Twitter is king in crypto, so naturally you want a page there. And of course, you also want Telegram or Discord. It depends on the project's specifics. If it's a DeFi protocol or anything of the sort, you can naturally enter Telegram first and then transition to Discord, because among marketers, we say that Telegram is actually a crypto exam. If you can grow a community there, then you can move on to Discord, where it's more structured, you have the channels and everything of the sort. But when we're talking about GameFi projects where gamers are ruling everything, you want Discord only, because that's their native platform. That's where they live. They live in the servers. They know how to access those, how to use the bots, the tools, and all. It's their environment. So you need to choose your channels wisely. But I emphasize the channel for the project's representation, and also for the community building and communications. You also want to provide engagement activities, because there's this Roman saying that you want bread and games. So the bread is the comms about the projects, about their development processes, their brand styled content, like blog articles and such, explaining what the project is. But you also want to offer games. So you want to provide activities that basically work as glue in between community members, be it giveaways, be it meme contests, be it anything of the similar kind, so that you would start in a way building a community culture of your project, and this way also have them talk about something, feel needed in the community, and of course build more members on top. So yeah, we usually divide it into these kinds of types of content, let's say. Of course, what's too much is not healthy, so don't overdo it with the giveaways and contests, again, to avoid the reward hunters. Also, you need to do constant updates in order to make the community feel that they're being dealt with in utmost transparency. So everything about the project, from development updates to your roadmap to your white paper and such, all those things are needed to be presented to the community, because again, coming back to the essential assumption, the community is your basis layer, so they need to know what the project is about and what its direction. So we need to provide those kind of updates too. One of the most important things that I want to emphasize is team communications. By that, I mean, naturally projects hire admins, they want moderators in their community channels, but I highly recommend, and this is based on my experience by working with Lossless for 2 years, it makes a huge difference when top team members enter the community channels and answer questions themselves. It's a totally different trust layer immediately when, one, there's an admin answering the questions from an FAQ file, and two, when the actual founder comes in and starts answering community questions. I believe most of you have felt this if you've encountered such a thing, but it's basically a fast track towards building trust with the team and helping the community understand that the team knows what they're doing and they're very serious about the project. Also, the shadow ambassadors that I mentioned, those are the people that you will start seeing popping up in the community. They are more active. They are answering questions to new people in the community. They are making content about your project, and this way they help emphasize what your project is doing outside, also providing you with organic content. So it's very important to recognize these people in time and give them a pat on the shoulder, recognize their work, and anything that would help boost their morale. Traction growth is, of course, available only if you have some kind of an MVP. Anything that helps both the community and the overall audience that you're providing content to understand what you're building. So it's better, of course, always the best to allow the person to touch the product, and push the buttons and all. But if there's nothing to offer so far, then you are sticking to explainers, to various banners that have schemes in them that explain how stuff works, and all of that. Because what we're trying to do is we have two types of content, basically. One is all about the project, from explainers to team, to who are advising them, who are the launch pads, who are the partners, to the second content pillar is external channels, helping you get that content out into the masses. So we're trying to basically then bring in people from other audiences in order to make our own original community grow. Tester groups are a great way to do that. If you have, again, an MVP or a test net that helps you, if you make a tester group, it will help you understand what you're doing with your product. Is it right or wrong? If there are any changes necessary, because the testers will give you feedback. And again, you can give them permission to make screenshots or anything for them to create content for you and post it on their own social media accounts in order, again, to gain traction for you in your stead. And then two last points in this stage of up until fundraising, you need partnerships and clients, again, if you have anything to offer, because partnerships of any kind, unless they're fake, the so-called digital handshake, and that's about it, partnerships validate your case in the industry. If you announce multiple partnerships with a serious partnership explanation, like this partner is going to integrate our technology, this partner is going to use our solution once it's live, or anything of the sort, so something serious, it immediately confirms your necessity in the market, that you pinpointed a good problem, you have a solution that is valid, and you're getting partners for that. So in the community's eyes and in the audience's eyes that you're reaching out to, it immediately explains and basically basically puts a green check mark that this project is solid, and I need to follow them. I need to be first one to know what they're doing, and this way it also helps to grow the community. And of course, last but not least is the unwritten rules, like I say, of crypto marketing. Every project, unless it's an exchange or anything of the similar kind, but if we're talking projects, protocols, and such, every project of such kind needs to have a white paper, a roadmap, and tokenomics. If you don't have those, I mean, a roadmap is it can happen at some point in your initial stage of the development journey, but a white paper is a must. If I'm not finding a document that explains why this project is doing what it's doing, how is it going to monetize, what's the token utility, if there's a token, and so on, it's a red flag for me, and I'm not sure if I want to continue any kind of activity with the project. And tokenomics as well is quite essential when it comes to that. Now, how do you do that? How do you achieve these big bullet points that I listed out? So there's a ton of things to do. You can pick them, of course. It's not like you need to do everything. I understand that each and every project has limited resources. The amounts are not the same. So you do stuff based on your priorities and on the availability, of course. So the first thing is, of course, engaging online presence, which means that you need to have a strong and refined website, because it's the core place where people are going to find absolutely each and every information point about your project. So it needs to be polished. You also want to utilize social media. So we're talking Twitter, we're talking about Instagram, TikTok, if your project is visually rich. Though I do recommend for projects not to go overboard and create too many accounts of social media platforms, because you then create yourself a management headache, because all of those channels need to be controlled somehow. Content needs to be posted in them, and somebody needs to manage those, unless you're doing it for the purpose of saving the name only. And if you're sure if the name is not going to change, then that makes sense. But having an empty account not being filled with content for quite some time kills the algorithm, and also makes you look a bit scammy, if you could say, because if I'm looking for information about the project and I'm finding an account that has no content, I'm assuming you're still going to see that the priority is Twitter and similar. Then that creates, again, some suspicion for me and for the rest of the people. You also want, like I mentioned previously, a community channel where people can gather and talk about your project. That can be Telegram or Discord, or both even. Sometimes I see projects do both, simply because their audience members are split in half. One part likes Telegram more and the others like Discord more. So to basically appease all the tastes, sometimes projects create both platforms. You also want regular community events, and those include digital ones too. So it's not just about physical conferences where you can meet up and talk. It's also Twitter Spaces. It's also going on to podcasts. It's also about doing events like this, a Telegram live stream, where you get to either meet teams, the people from the team, or talk among yourselves. Why do you think this project is going to why is it going to prevail in crypto, and so on. So it's basically creates ties in between community members. And two last points is, of course, building a knowledge base, or this FAQ section if your website, because there's going to be a ton of people that into your community channels or into your comments on social media, and they'll want to know things. Like they will ask repeatedly questions, separate people, same questions. So it's more convenient to have a place where you can send these people to read up on the project. Of course, you answer the question, but you provide a link where they can go and get more info. Also, it works really nicely when you start getting those shadow ambassadors that I mentioned before. That's a place for them to get content about your project, repurpose it, and release it through their accounts on any of the platforms that they might use. And last but not least is showcasing the community contributions, that pat on the shoulder that I mentioned. You need to recognize these people at that perfect moment, so that I believe all of us had an encounter in our lives where we thought that we did something super nice. We were proud of ourselves, but got unseen. Nobody validated us for it, or said a good word about it, and we sort of like started questioning, if do I really need to do this? Is this even worth of my time, or anything of the sort? So that's why it's a must to see these people in time, so that they would continue to be your ambassadors, and maybe even grow into a role of the so-called general, under which you can start building an official ambassador program. So it's super important to see these people at that right moment. Moving on. Why no growth shortcuts? I always get this question from many project teams, like, why can't I just buy 5K fake accounts on Twitter and get myself this huge fake community that would sort of create this nice psychological, I don't know, ego booster that I have a huge community on my project, it's growing, and so on. This is what happens when you do that. When you are giving away only rewards and no value add content, you're not explaining what the project is doing or anything of the kind, or you're just continuously boasting about yourself, how you're going to revolutionize the industry and such, you may see a scenario like this. So I believe most of you have heard about Starknet by now, and I saw an announcement this morning that Binance is still going to list them anyway. But my main insight here is that Starknet did a lot of airdrop-based marketing, so lots of tweets about it, how people can get the tokens, how so many people are participating in it, and it was connected with their platform. So naturally, once the airdrop ended, so did the user account, and now everybody is calling Starknet a platform of developers for developers, as most of the Web3 projects are called out as well. So it's just to prove that you need those two kinds of content directions. One has to continuously explain, reiterate, and showcase why your project is necessary in the industry. Not just talk about how you're going to change stuff here and how you're the next Bitcoin killer or Ethereum killer and anything of the sort. But there has to be like arguments to back all of that. So you need those partnerships, you need clients, you need a working product, and you need to show it in multiple formats in order, again, to appease those tastes for content by different people, and not overdo with giveaways and all kinds of rewards. Moving on, so we are in the pre-TGE phase. We have gathered our fundraising. We have, let's say, we needed 1 million. We got 1 million. Maybe there were even more VCs or influencers that wanted to get on board, so we became oversubbed. But what do we do next? So we are entering a very important stage in our project's life. We are entering the one where our token is going to be minted and launched, and we need people to want to buy that token. We want a demand increase. So what do you do with this is you always stick with keeping your community informed, entertained, and hooked, as I wrote in here. So it's not just about constantly giving updates about where the project is at, how are you doing with your cash runway, how is it going to be like distributed or anything. You also have to provide activities in order for the community to stay clicked and be strong at that point, and also start providing teasers and any kind of content pieces that might get them hooked on the project. So we're talking all those ambassadors, we're talking about video interviews. I constantly did live streams during the bull market. I did it every week. Then when the bear market struck, I did it every 2 weeks or even every month in order to update the community directly. Me personally doing a live stream on Twitter and giving an update of where Lossless is at. at that time in my career. And it worked again really nicely because one, you provide your face to the information, and we always click with faces. It's not about the brand. The brand is nice, but when you look behind the brand, it's a team of people that are making it. So you need some kind of a face to connect it to. Psychologically, the first thing once we see a brand and we see a person, we're connected more to the person because we see emotions, we see all of this movement and all emotions, my face reactions, and you can actually see that I care, and that's important when it comes to trust. I want you to trust what I'm saying, and having this kind of activity incorporated into your marketing strategy, be it live streams or anything else, works really nicely. Then, of course, you want to onboard influencers. If they got to be your investors, you basically have them already on board. You just need to manage them in order to execute proper campaigns. So you want to ask them to promote your project, talk about its benefits, maybe even go onto their accounts to do a Twitter space and talk about your project. Like, why did this influencer invest in it in the first place? Because it's always better if somebody else is talking in your stead. Again, from marketing psychology, if we are talking about ourselves from our accounts, from our social media platforms and such, it's going to be listened to, but it's much stronger when the same information comes from somebody else, because it's then taken more objectively, because I am subjective when I talk about stuff that I like and I love, but when it's another person that has nothing to do with the team, with the project, it's taken as objective information, from the top of our heads, and I trust this person's information more, even though he said the same thing, just maybe in different words. It's strange, but it works that way. So influencers are one of the ways to do this precisely, and this way you have to talk with them about those campaigns, how they're not supposed to be, oh look, this is a new gem, you're going to make 100x with it. I'm not sure if you want that kind of content about your project, because it's again attracting people that are reward hunters. They want to make that quick buck, meaning that upon your token's launch, if they have access to your tokens, let's say they got whitelisted or anything, and they have an amount of tokens at pre-sale price, they're going to dump on you. So not sure if you want that kind of a segment of people in your community early on. That's why you need to build those foundations of people that actually love the fundamentals that you're building. Again, diversify content. You need to provide as many different angles as possible, because I like to say at this point that, let's say, we all like different types of ice cream. So I may like chocolate, somebody wants strawberry, and so on. Same with content. Somebody wants to watch videos, somebody likes podcasts, others like reading articles and such. So you have to appease those tastes and provide different types of content. You can recycle it as well, like remake the same content piece, but in a different format. And this way you have a content plan that's filled constantly, and also works as constant updates. Just be sure that it's made into a strategy, not those one-off tactical shots, because then you're losing the big picture, and you might not transfer a message through all of those posts. Because when I scroll through projects through their feed, if I start seeing that most of the posts are disconnected in between, that means that there's no general main narrative, and there's not a main core message that the project would like to send. We always see projects have, whenever they post a lot of content, you still feel that there's like a connection in between those content pieces, and that's a good thing. But sometimes projects lose their track because they're just looking at content pieces separately, like one-off shots, like I say. So you're supposed to connect those dots in order to create the big picture, especially for new people that enter your account and they're going through it and they need to understand what the project is about. Also keep building and securing partners, naturally, partners for validation, and keep building for those development updates, and to keep building the trust with the community. You always have to show up. So this is coming back to building those trust bonds with your community members. So top team members going into community channels, answering questions, or just doing small talk, just showing up, talking with your community in order to present yourself as a human being, and just showing that you care. It's super important to have those connections in place. And of course, last but not least, is boost hype. Hype actually has a bit of a negative connotation in the recent, let's say, well, in the recent beer market, because everybody thinks that hype means bad news, because if you overhype a project, there's going to be losses included at the end of the story, and so on. But hype can be a good thing. You want people to feel excited. You want people to experience these feelings. You want them to be excited. You want them to be thrilled about your project. You want them to feel like they're winning because they are first ones to participate in your project, to be part of the community, to be early in this. And this way it all translates into fandom. So you basically have a group of people that are in love with what you're doing. They love the fundamentals. They love the mission. They love the opportunity also to earn your tokens or earn that cash. But it has to be balanced. And how do we get into these feelings? So I have a couple of examples that I added to the presentation. So yeah. So this is just one small example about how you can do teasing. This was for Lossless when we were revealing the 9 security committee members. We told the community that these people are reputable personas in the industry. They have significant experience, and they're highly necessary for us to continue to do the security protocols work. And I wanted some kind of a creative way how to reveal these guys one by one, because there's 9. So do you impact the understanding about your project like bit by bit, and you extend basically the timeline, or do you give away all 9 names in a single blow and you basically have only one content piece and you're not sure if it's going to get that kind of ROI that you're expecting or not? So instead we did these kinds of videos where they're revealed one by one, and it worked really nicely because it extended into almost a 2-month campaign. Each was followed by an article where we dug into their experience in the industry. Why are these solid candidates? Yeah, it was a really cool campaign to launch these videos. One more. So I'm showing videos because they're most impactful when it comes to content formats, but these kinds of videos can also be, how should I put it? You can prepare your audience ahead of these videos being launched. So like posting a tweet that says Thursday, 10 a.m. UTC and put a clock emoji. And that's about it. And you just move away and you allow people to roll in their comments on their own, think and speculate what is the meaning of this. You only respond in emojis or in GIFs, and that's about it. And this way you create all those different thoughts, different ideas. Sometimes you see really nice ideas that you can use actually for further future campaigns or some kind of content. But basically, these kinds of announcements can be pre-led by small teasers like countdowns, be it an animated clock that is it's counting backwards, or there is a series of banners that calculate days up until some kind of a big launch and such. So there are multiple ways to do this to create this kind of excitement. Naturally, you need to have some kind of event to do these teasers for. So I'm talking about the TGE, up until which you can create so much excitement with various giveaways, with various cross-promotional campaigns with their partners. So there are a lot of ways to turn it the way that is beneficial for you. And we're actually entering that specific phase. So When it's the token generation event, like it says here, you want as many people as possible wanting your token. That means you needed to introduce your token utility properly. How is it beneficial for me to have that token, hold it, not sell it like super quickly, and why do I need more? And before you do the launch, like I said, you can boost your entire excitement campaign with a few different campaign types. So you can, of course, do an airdrop, just have people fill in a form and then randomly pick who gets the pre-sale price tokens. You can do like various just giveaways for creative work. Always have, next to any kind of a campaign that involves rewards, always support it with a blog article, which explains in detail all the rules, what the person has to do, and even write in a list of countries that cannot have these kinds of rewards, because there's a certain list of countries that by law cannot participate, like the residents of those countries, they cannot receive any kind of crypto rewards simply because the law doesn't allow it. So you have to place that as well, just for your own security. Otherwise, you'll get a lot of bashing from the community, and there's a lot of explaining to do. So always, any kind of giveaway is immediately followed up by an article that explains in full detail how it's going to be executed, how do you become eligible for the reward and such. Point system campaigns are something new that have been going on for almost half a year now. For example, a recent launch by Mode Network is exactly that. They launched their mainnet, and they are incentivizing people to use their network. And for each transaction or any kind of activity on the network, people are rewarded in points that can later on be they can be exchanged for Mode tokens. A lot of projects that are doing like grand launches, they're starting to use this kind of a concept because it's extended in time. So it's not like a one-off or anything. You're just incentivizing people to come to your network, use it, get more points, be rewarded. But again, this is talking about around the TGE time, when we want that kind of activity. We already have some kind of a basis for a community, so we can then enter these kinds of activities. And whitelisting, of course, is one of the simplest ways to get so-called over sub campaigns. So let's say you dedicate a pool of pre-sale price tokens over to a whitelisting campaign. You say that 300 people are going to divide among themselves that pool, and it's going to be served as the first come first serve basis. So they'll need to fill in a type form or a Google Doc form, and you will be seeing timestamps that who were the first 300 people to fill in the form. However, even if you have 300 spots that will divide the prizes among themselves, get like 500 people to fill in the form, because there are going to be dropouts from the first 300. Somebody's not going to pass a KYC. Somebody didn't fill in the form correctly, didn't provide some kind of information. So you're going to lose a certain percentage of people from the first 300, and you're going to supplement them with the rest that the rest, let's say 200 that wanted to get into the whitelisting. Whitelisting is important if you want to do it, because then you are sure that those wallets that are rewarded with these pre-sale tokens, they actually belong to people, not to bots, not to a single person with 5 wallets. So it's important just for token security reasons, let's say. So it's important to note as well that you need to understand one thing. Crypto marketing is all about sustainable growth. So it's not about onboarding a group of KOLs and expecting for your growth to like skyrocket. It's a normal process for your growth to fluctuate. And I mean the community growth, the follower growth. It's normal. Sometimes it doesn't depend on you. Sometimes it's Twitter coming in with stricter bot account policies, and you don't know if there's like a person with 5 accounts in your community and 4 of them get dropped off or anything. So it's a normal process. You're not supposed to grow your community in 1 month to 85K. That just doesn't work. I have screenshots and examples of projects that do that, but they do that by influxing their accounts every day with like 2.5K of just accounts, 3K, and so on. It doesn't look healthy. If you are going to fake boost your community in the very early days, you're going to crash just as fast. And it's not going to build trust. It's not going to build any kind of, let's say, strong values among your community. Because if I, as a new person, come into your account, I see that there's like, let's say 35K people following you. But when I scroll into the content below and I see 5 likes, 3 likes on your content pieces, what does that tell me? It means that either that account, that follower number is boosted with fake numbers, or you're just I don't know, your content is super unimportant, or the account is like very old and the algorithm is dead and you need to reignite it or anything. But the first thought will always be that there's something wrong with this project's account and I'm not gonna waste my time here. So it's important for you to have that correlation between your community and the engagement with your content. So it's totally fine if there's like small drops in your community growth, as long as in long term, important to emphasize, as long as in long term you're seeing an upward trend, that's totally fine. And then a small comment, why did I name this presentation that if there's no marketing, that's basically a Lambo with no gas? So imagine that your project's marketing is the gas and your project is the Lambo. So you're creating something super important. Your product is going to change lives of crypto degens and so on. But you're not buying any gas, so no marketing to promote that project, or you're not making those organic content pieces in order to reach as many people as possible as well. So if you don't have any marketing, that Lambo of yours is going to stand in a garage just like this one, and you're the only person that's going to appreciate it and its beauty, and how such a cool sports car is just standing in your garage, but you can't take it out to the streets and show it to other people. So that's why I always use this example to convey the message of why marketing is important, because every project could be a Lambo. You just need the gas, and that's about it. So yeah, I hope I fit it into time. So I see I extended quite a lot, but just a small comment here. I actually yesterday announced that I opened up an agency for Web3 marketing services, because I believe that what the currently industry needs is precision and actual good activities, strategy refurbished activities for Web3 projects. So if there are any founders or anyone listening to this and you believe that your marketing needs help, your Lambo needs gas, don't hesitate to DM me and we will be able to talk it through. Thanks a lot.
Monika, thank you so much. It was beautiful, very informative for everyone who's listening right now, and probably or maybe listening in to the recording, or for the later on YouTube video that we recorded this for. I believe there are a lot of insights that are already being shared by you right now. But let's begin with some. If we have any questions from the people that are listening in, so here on Telegram, you don't have to raise your hand or anything. Just unmute yourself and ask the question. And as we're waiting, feel free to do so. Just unmute yourself. But as we're waiting, I would love to drop maybe the first question to kind of kickstart this. Sure. Because I have some questions to ask. Most of them are from community members that I got those questions during a call, during a discussion on Twitter Spaces with other projects from Web3. So I'm just projecting what probably other people wants to hear. So you talked about doing partnerships, right? Pre-TGE, right? In the starting phase. And our community is all about collaborations and partnerships. So I would love to hear a little bit about how should a project approach partnerships? So how do you form a partnership? What needs to be considered when you really like approach it as a marketer, as a founder, as a community manager maybe?
Yeah. So one thing is, it's super important to understand that this partnership is supposed to be beneficial for both sides. It's not supposed to be like, I call those virtual handshakes, when there are multiple fake partnerships released into the industry just for the sake of making the announcement, tagging each other in each other's posts, and this way sort of creating a little bit of noise, even though when you go into the announcement itself, you're just reading that, oh, we're going to refer each other's projects, like the partners that we have refer to you, and in case they want to work together, they're going to work together. I don't call that a partnership. I just call that sharing contacts and extending each other's network to each project. A partnership for me is something like that's solid, like integration of the technology, subscription to the service, using it in your own project development work, and so on. Something that is graspable and you can actually feel that there's value in it. And when you have something like that, depending again on the project sizes, unfortunately, it is an important criteria when we're talking about it. Like, how huge is the community that we're talking to? How much of marketing effort am I supposed to put into this? Because there's one thing when you're partnering up with Harmony, let's say, and there's a totally different thing when there's a small baby project coming in, but it's going to do a solid partnership with you. So for one, it might take only a Twitter Spaces or a solid announcement with a blog article. For another one, you want to do a PR statement. You want to have a giveaway campaign, maybe even in order to boost the news. You want even for that project to come and like your content or retweet it, so it would work as a confirmation. I had multiple cases where we did partnership announcements. Let's say AVAX was one of them, and I remember very specifically when a community member came after I think 30 minutes after the announcement got launched, and why didn't AVAX like or retweet your post? They haven't posted anything about you, so this might be fake. If you're immediately getting pushed into the wall just because something of both side confirmation did not happen. So it's important to note probably two things: that it depends on how big the partnership is and how much ammunition you also have when it comes to marketing, because not all projects can allow themselves a PR article to be released onto multiple media outlets and such. So I think these are the two criteria points to keep in mind.
Nice. Really appreciate it. Of course, I agree. Partnership is a crucial part in any phase, eventually, of a project. But what leads me, I will try to be, very accurate here, because we have like 5 more minutes. So I won't have a time to ask all of my questions, but maybe we can do something later and kind of transcribe a few more questions into, written content, if that's okay.
Sure.
But just to wrap this up, what would you recommend for a project, pre-TGE, or even in the initial phase, that has a limited budget?
Mm-hmm.
How would you approach? I know it's a tough question, and every case for itself. But what are the must-haves for a project that have a limited budget? Let's say are not well funded with millions of dollars and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
How would you approach this? Only kind of briefly.
Sure.
Some tips for them.
Let me try to summarize some bullet points. So it's very important, and I mentioned in the presentation as well, the core thing is your community. You have to build it however much budget you have. It doesn't matter. Just because you have a lot of budget doesn't mean your community is going to be just as strong. I mean, there are cases in the industry where the projects started with absolute minimum budget. Some of them even were bootstrapped, and still they were able to build super strong communities. So I have found myself to be one of those marketers that are empathetic, and I always do everything with my gut feeling and how I see the sentiment rolling. So I will always stand by my word that whatever you do, be it community engagement activities, be it organic content on your social media platforms and such, you have to be transparent and you have to be clear about what you're doing. You have to inform these people all the time, because in the end of the day, it doesn't matter if it's in a half a year or in an entire year. These people are watching, you just don't know. They are going to become your supporters. They are going to bring out that word of mouth for you, and they just need that more of that solid proof that you're an actual working project and you're building a product that's going to work. So I'm always in for, doesn't matter how much budget you have, we're going into community building activities, and those can be done without like a big budget or anything. Not even, you might not even have a budget. It's important just to have those comms daily up and running. And it's also about being informative all the time. And again, we have access to Canva. Canva is a superb tool. If you don't have a graphic designer, you can do those pre-initial images on yourself. You can do all those banners explaining what the project is about, quote your founders. You can show some kind of schemes, how your product is going to work, what's connected with what. So it's all about transparency for me and building that trust. And that can be done without a budget. So that's what I would recommend for every project to do early on.
I love it. Yes. And so to wrap this up real quick with the last question, maybe. Yeah. By the way, again, everyone here, if you have any question, don't be shy. Feel free to, unmute yourself and ask. But I will go ahead and ask. And if someone wants to interrupt, feel free.
Of course.
So you talk about, and I really agree, but you talk about like organic community building partnerships. We most of the times don't need a lot of budget, right? If any. But still, there is a balance between, let's say, organic tactics, marketing solutions, and paid ones. So if, say, like giving like one insight about the balance, like, or maybe what would you recommend that you maybe discovered recently, or things that you tried being a CMO to do like in the paid side of things? Like maybe even like towards 2024. We all know platforms like Zilly. We all know, I'm just throwing some stuff in the air. I would love to hear your take on that real quick, 1 minute thing to wrap up.
First of all, when it comes to organic content, I always call it storytelling. It's important for you to have your own narrative that you're building throughout the content pieces that you release. But every project has its own events, core events that happen in that timeline. So be it a project's demo being released, or the mainnet, or the token being launched and listed somewhere and all that, those moments are where I access my budget and use it to boost it. I call those moments boosters, and you can use any kind of activities that require some kind of payments, be it influencers, be it the Zilly platform or Intract or anything. It can be simply paid media ads, and that's about it. A PR statement coming out on being crypto, the block, or anywhere else. So those specific moments are when I, as a CMO, when I access the money and I use it in order to make those news more visible, because that's something, in my mind, that's something worthy of the budget to be spent on, and through which I bring in more people that might be hearing about my project for the first time, and for them to stick with me because I brought them in through an announcement that is worthwhile and is worthy of their attention. So it just makes it so that these people click with the project because they followed my news, and it's a higher chance that they're going to stay with me and become community members. So that's how I perceive budget usability.
I really appreciate it. I love it how you call it boosters. So you want to look at it as you have like a timeline, and you build your story, build your narrative, right? And you use the money wisely by boosting towards something. Like, towards launch, towards maybe a beta version of your MVP product. Mm-hmm. So that's a great way to look at it, as a small project, as a starting project. maybe even like a medium project towards TGE, like to see your budget as, I want to spend it at strategic times and not like, I don't know, like consistent paid growth in, a few different channels. So
Exactly.
I really can relate to that. Monika, thank you so much. We're most definitely going to do this a series. So, tune in for the next times, guys. So we will, of course, announce it and plan it together. But I really enjoyed. I hope everyone here enjoyed as well. Thank you for your time. And until the next time.
Yeah, thank you everybody for joining in. And I hope who is watching the recording that you find it valuable and usable. Thanks, guys.
Thank you so much. Goodbye, everyone.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Bye.